Welcome to the Red Sneaker Writers Podcast. News, interviews, and writing tips for people who are serious about having a writing career and want some practical knowledge to help them achieve it. Your host is the nationally best-selling author of more than 50 books, William Bernhardt.
Hello, Red Sneaker Writers. This is episode 53, going out on September 7th, and we are recording live from WriterCon 2020. And yes, as you can hear, there are actual people in the room. We did a split conference this year for the first time ever, in addition to the people who are here actually in Oklahoma City at the Skirvin Hotel. We have even more people streaming the conference from home. First time we've done that, but thanks to our friends at Titan AVL, this has worked beautifully. And I think it has made the conference even better. But the main thing is we didn't have to cancel. We persevered. So all of you who are working hard and writing and pursuing your writing dreams can get the information you need to achieve those dreams and move your career forward. On this episode of the podcast, my special guest interview will be with Alexandra Ott, who is a very successful middle grade and young adult author for Simon & Schuster. We will also have writing tips offered to you from people attending WriterCon this weekend. But first, the news. To me, the most interesting news story that we're covering this time comes from a webinar that was recently held by Ingram. As many of you probably already know, Ingram is a major book wholesaler and distributor. Most brick and mortar bookstores in the country, if not all, order their books from Ingram. But in more recent years, Ingram has also become an important source of print-on-demand books. They also distribute to libraries, but particularly during the COVID lockdown, the major publishers, even the big five, have been relying on them more and more for print-on-demand books because the big corporations are finding they don't know how many to order. They don't know what bookstores will be open and which will be closed and what they can sell. And since they don't know how many copies to print in an offset printer, they've instead been relying on Ingram to set up their books in a print-on-demand capacity so they can just print books as they need them. Anyway, on this webinar on marketing and publicity, representatives from Ingram said that while overall the demand for books has not dropped too badly, and I'm using their phrase, the purchasing journey has shifted from in-store placement to social media and retail websites. Some of that just makes sense. During the lockdown, a lot of bookstores and other places where people go to buy books have been closed. The question is whether this is going to be a lingering change in the business. And clearly, the people at Ingram, who may be in the best position to know, think that it is. This particularly has an impact on publishers' book marketing efforts. For instance, according to the representatives at Ingram's, this means that search engine optimization and metadata optimization are going to be more important to people selling books than shelf space. Once upon a time, publishers would pay thousands of dollars to get premium shelf space in the front of the store or on end caps for the books. Now it looks like the things they do online may be far more important. Online customer reviews are becoming more important and indeed replacing hand selling. When people are buying books online, of course, they look at the reviews and see how many stars a book has. And sponsored ad carousels, like for instance at Facebook, where you can program and circulate and purchase a carousel ad, that's replacing point-of-sale displays. This, of course, is a monumental change in the way books are sold and the way books are marketed. As we've mentioned on previous podcasts, during this lockdown period, it's not so much that after the first month, when nobody was buying anything, but after the first month, it's not that they weren't buying books, it's that they were buying books differently. A lot of people who had resisted ebooks initially apparently found that when the libraries are closed and the bookstores are closed, maybe ebooks aren't so bad after all. And ebook sales have soared. So have downloads of digital audiobooks, which again, people can do without going anywhere. You can open up your phone or iPod and have those audiobooks almost instantaneously. That is having a big change in the way books are sold. The audiobook market has been keenly important for years now and continues to become even more important. Rumors have been circulating for many months now that Spotify, the major distributor of streaming music by subscription, has been wanting to get into the audiobook market. And now it looks like it's true because about a week and a half ago, the company advertised for, quote, ahead of audiobooks, which definitely sounds like they're thinking about getting into the audiobook business. The ad says that they're looking for someone with experience in or knowledge of traditional publishing. Once people started reporting on this ad, they actually took it down, but I suspect they're still looking for someone just more quietly. Earlier this year, those of you who use Spotify will notice that for the first time they offered a free audiobook of one of the Harry Potter books read by Daniel Radcliffe. That would seem like a pretty easy thing to sell. And I'm guessing that was a test market effort and that it went very well. Spotify, as you may know, has more than 300 million monthly active users. So this could be a huge expansion of the audiobook market. The thinking is that even though they have huge subscribers for streaming music, they're not making that much per person or per song because most of the money goes back to the artists. So audiobooks might be a way for them to increase their market share or their profits. Also about Audibles, we found out just this week that Audible, and that's the audiobook outfit that's owned by Amazon and is the largest audiobook distributor right now. Audible announced that it is separating out its exclusive audio content, what they call Audible Originals, and creating for the first time an Audible subscription plan, which has two tiers. There's Audible Plus, which allows you to subscribe, pay a monthly fee, and then you get access to a lot of audiobooks, but not all of their audiobooks. It does not include everything in Audible's catalog. But wait, there's also Audible Premium Plus, which costs about twice as much, but increases the amount of things that you can subscribe to and also gives you a bonus 1 credit, which basically means that you can obtain one audiobook outside the subscription plan each month without paying more. All of this continues to evidence what I've been saying for many moons now on this podcast. Audiobooks are here to stay. Audiobooks are bigger than they've ever been before, and the ease of downloading an audiobook digitally without having any kind of cassette tape or CD or any other physical medium is just going to make them explode even more so. Red Sneaker writers, you can produce an audiobook of your book, assuming you still retain the rights. This is something you can do, and now more than ever, it's something you need to do. For our writing tips section, I thought, what could be better when we're sitting here in the middle of WriterCon, the conference that wouldn't take no for an answer, that wouldn't cancel no matter what. Ask some of the people here what they've learned from being at WriterCon. We're recording this on the third day on Sunday, so there surely must be something by now. So first up to the bat, Amy Lee. Amy, tell us what you've learned here at WriterCon.
Hi there. It's been a great conference, and I actually learned about building a social media marketing machine in 21 days from Christopher Maselli. It's been an amazing way to know how to automate all of my posts through all of my social media platforms.
Right, and we just heard how important that is.
Yes,
in the
absolutely.
modern market.
So very excited to be here. Thank you.
Okay. Next up, Dan Short, how about you? What have you picked up at the conference?
Thank you. The Maselli conference presentation was excellent. He always is. And I think for me, it's I'm a new author, and I have a lot to learn. I only have one book out, and I come here because I listen to and learn from people who have been doing this for a long time. Your presentations are always substantive for me, always giving me a deep understanding of the nuts and bolts of various elements of writing. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And for our third person, I'm going to ask who you've heard me call before my favorite author, Laura Bernhardt, my wife, author of many books, including Shadow of the Taj and the Watland Files series. She's been speaking here at the conference and may have even picked up a thing or two herself. Laura, what do you think?
Absolutely. I don't think it's possible to come to this conference and not learn something. There's always something you can add to your knowledge base. I think I'm most intrigued by the session I sat in on about BookBrush, which is a fabulous tool for authors. It's designed specifically for authors. And I've always considered graphics and coming up with those marketing images something completely beyond my scope. And I've completely changed my mind. I've come around. I've been on that site. I watched her presentation. And I'm convinced I'm going to give it a shot. I'm excited to try it. I truly believe maybe I can actually take this over and do it myself.
Now, you're being modest. You're pretty good with graphics. I'm completely not. And yet when I'm a BookBrush customer too, and 20 minutes on BookBrush, and I had some great ads for my new book and some business cards. They make it easy, right?
It looks like it's easy. I'm just getting signed up. I'm just going to give it a go. I was a little hesitant, but Kathleen was kind enough to sit down with me and show me a few things, even one-on-one. She was delightful. I'm so glad she came this year, and I'm excited about it. And something else that I won't say that I learned it, but because I know I've heard it before, and it can be hard, though. Something else that I was reminded of is that we do want to stay on top of things. We do want to keep persevering and working, staying forward. But I think sometimes we have to put blinders on a little bit because it's so easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to others and getting overwhelmed and letting the self-doubt creep in on us. I know I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of this.
No.
How often do I walk out and say, that's it, I'm done. And then 30 minutes later, I'm back writing again. It is easy to get overwhelmed. Don't let that happen to you. Stay the course, stay persistent, persevere, keep after it. We will get those books out. We all move at our own level, but we will get those books out if we just stick with it.
Thanks, Laura. That's a terrific tip and one that I think everybody needs to hear at one point or another. My interview for this podcast is with a stunningly successful middle grade and young adult author, Alexandra Ott. She's been writing books for Simon & Schuster for some years now. She's got 3 books in print, and as if that weren't enough, she is also an excellent editor. She worked for some time for Entangled, and now she's doing it on a freelance basis. Alexandra, I hope you won't be offended if I point out that you are younger than I am, and yet here you are with a major Big 5 publisher and 3 books and more on the way. How'd you get started?
I started writing at a really young age. I finished my first novel-length manuscript when I was about 16.
Wow.
Of course, it wasn't any good. I had to write several more novels after that to eventually write Rules for Thieves, which was my first debut. But I think it was really just persevering, continuing to write even after that first novel that wasn't as strong or as well polished as I wanted it to be. And from there, once I had a manuscript that I knew was something that seemed ready, then I started querying agents and found my literary agent and pursued publication from there.
But where did you get the knowledge? I knew that I wanted to write when I was 16, but I had no idea how to go.